What up, YouTube? This is Steven, and welcome back to another photo analysis. This time I'll be analyzing the covers of Ayumi Hamasaki's mini album slash extended play album, 5. And this photo analysis was requested by YouTube user LV90047 space period, so thanks a lot for the request, LV. Alright, so let's start with the CD-only version of the album cover. Okay, so when I first see this photo, I'm like, okay, Ayumi's kind of like trying to be like, more editorial, more edgy with this album cover here. And like she has her hair, somewhat disheveled. She's wearing some, avant-garde looking clothing. And she's doing somewhat of a, more of an, an edgier pose. And I do like this photo. I do think there's some issues I have with it, but overall I do like the photo. I don't think it was necessary for Ayumi to wear that piece of clothing she has on her arm on the left side of the photo. I don't think that was necessary. I think less is more, and in this case, I think that would have probably helped the quality of this photo, like improved the quality of this photo more so. However, I do like, she is giving us really good neck here, good neck. Her facial expression comes off as, very soft and relaxed. And I do like the facial expression. But on the flip side, I guess it's because like Ayumi is so edgy in this photo, like, the clothing she's wearing and the hair and the pose. I don't know, I guess I just expected something different with the facial expression. But this does work, so I won't bash Ayumi for that. But I guess maybe I expected something, I guess, a bit more editorial, a bit more reflective of, the outfit and clothing that she has on. Because like the outfit and the outfit and the hair is what I meant to say. I'm like, yeah, outfit and clothing are the same thing. But yeah, the outfit and the hair, because I guess it's so, like, it has such attitude with it. I was just expecting a facial expression that was, I guess, a bit more, I guess, attitudinal, for lack of a better word, maybe, But I do like this facial expression. I do think Ayumi did do a good job. Her hands, her hand rather. You can't see both of her hands. You can only see one of her hands. It kind of looks like she's about to, like she's drinking like an invisible bottle of soda or something. If you look how her hand is positioned, it does kind of look like that. You could probably like Photoshop a Coca-Cola bottle there, and you want to skip a beat. So that's a bit weird. And as well, this photo is done more so in profile, and I think sometimes profile like can be a bit difficult because like Ayumi can't work with all of her face. She can only work with half of her face. So, so probably that's part of the reason why she couldn't be maybe deliver as strong of a facial expression as she as I wanted her to. Because I guess it might look weird if like you're like really crazy looking on the cover. But, I think she could have pulled it off. She could have pulled it off. The background is pretty plain. It's gray, So because the background is so plain, I think that kind of works, actually, to be honest. Even though I'm not even though like sometimes I feel like a plain background is sort of difficult to work with at times, but I think in this case it works, and it works because like Ayumi, like the hair and the outfit, like they're so edgy and editorial and avant-garde, that a complex background wasn't necessary. That would just be too much, I think, for whoever's looking at the photo. I think it might be a bit too much for that particular person, or the people who are looking at the photo. I don't see Ayumi incorporating the theme 5 into this particular photo. Um, but that's okay. It's okay if you don't incorporate the theme, because sometimes it is difficult to incorporate like the theme, the title, into the photo. Sometimes it's difficult. And when that happens, you have to deliver like a really good photo, at least in my opinion. And I think Ayumi has delivered a top quality photo. I have some issues with it, such as her facial expression. It's a bit on the nose for me. Not quite here, not quite there, but I'll let her slide with it. And as well, her hand is positioned like she's about to drink a bottle of Coca-Cola. Um, and also that weird thing she has on her upper arm, that weird piece of clothing she has on her upper arm was not necessary. And I think it might be a little distracting. I don't think it really serves much of a positive purpose in this photo. But overall, I actually do like this photo. And I think what sells me on this photo is Ayumi's body language, and also the hair, and the way that she's positioned her head. And I think the eyes closed work too, because actually I think if the eyes were open, then that would, for Ayumi, that would probably decrease the quality of the photo. And it's not because Ayumi has like ugly eyes, because I actually think the opposite. I think Ayumi has a really beautiful eyes, but I don't think she would have been able to work them in this photo, or in this particular photo, and the pose and that she's doing. I don't think she would have been able to work her eyes as well. I think she would have ended up having like maybe dead eyes or like blank eyes. So I think a closed eyes work for this. That helps Ayumi. And as well, the photo has like some sex appeal with it too, because she's showing like her décolletage and cleavage as well, and she's doing it like in a classy way. It's not like an unsophisticated, raunchy, lewd way. She's being classy and posh with it. You know, so kudos to Ayumi for doing that. However, this photo is very reminiscent of an album cover that Madonna did. Madonna did an album cover for True Blue, and she did this like a very similar pose to what Ayumi's doing. And Madonna been released True Blue back in like sometime in the 80s. So looks like Ayumi is taking some cues from Madonna. I think I want to say that Ayumi is like plagiarizing. I think she can kind of get away with saying like she's paying homage to Madonna. And I don't knock her for paying homage or even plagiarizing. Madonna, just because if you're going to do that, then at least do it with somebody who is kind of like been in the industry for a while and has like a good reputation and has delivered like really good entertainment. But whose album cover rather do you think is better? Do you think Ayumi's is better than Madonna's, or Madonna's is better than Ayumi's, or it's a tie? Personally, I go with Ayumi. Keep it real. And I guess the reason I go with Ayumi is because I don't know. Madonna's neck looks a bit weird. Her face looks a bit odd. I don't know. The lighting is a bit weird too. Um, hmm. So overall, I'd say Ayumi did it better, or at least looks better. Um, but what do you guys think? Feel free to let me know. But I think both photos do have their their merits, their good points. I think both photos are nice though. But I just think Ayumi did a better job. But another story for another day. On to the next album cover. Alright, this album cover is actually for the CD only limited edition version of Ayumi Hamasaki's album 5. And as you can see, Ayumi is like not actually on the cover per se. Perhaps this anime character is supposed to be a representation of Ayumi, perhaps. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let's assume it is. Let's assume it is. All right, so it looks like anime Ayumi is in some type of a building. I don't know, like a castle or something. A temple. I'm not sure. She's in some type of a building and has really long blonde hair. The rabbit ears. A whole bunch of blue. It's a whole bunch of blue here. It's doing, somewhat of a pose. Well, it is a pose, but I guess the pose, it's, a bit. I think it's a good pose. I think it'd be hard for Ayumi to pull that off in real life. But I like the pose, even though it's a bit simple. The outfit it's all right. The boots. I think the boots were a good touch. So I guess overall, I do think this is a good photo. This is a nice photo. However, it's just a bit odd that I don't see. Like, if I looked at this photo out of context, would I really say that this was Ayumi Hamasaki? Probably not. If, I don't even, to be fair, I don't even know if this is supposed to represent Ayumi Hamasaki. I'm assuming it is, but I don't know for sure. But, nevertheless, it is a respectable photo. I just don't feel that it was probably the best photo for Ayumi Hamasaki's album cover. But I think this is actually a tie-in to possibly an anime that she had did the theme song for. So I think that's perhaps why this photo is here. Perhaps. And to be honest, to an extent, I really don't count this as an album cover. I mean, I do count it as an album cover, obviously, because I'm giving reference to it and, acknowledging it. But, it's kind of like, okay, it is an album cover of an Ayumi Hamasaki's album, but, it doesn't have Ayumi on the cover, So you kind of missed the boat there. So that's why I kind of am a little iffy about counting it, But on to the final photo. Alright, this is the album cover for the CD plus DVD and the CD plus Blu-ray version of the album cover. And, I like that I see Ayumi Hamasaki's eye. However, I have issues with this photo. Ayumi looks nice in this photo, but she's really covered up in this photo For one, her hair is in her other eye, so you can't see both of her eyes. And Ayumi, as I said before plenty of times, she has really beautiful eyes, and she should try and work that, you know? I don't know why she wants to show one eye but not the other. I'm guessing she may think this is like being high fashion or editorial or something. You know, she's being edgy by doing this, but I don't know. I don't think it's working for Ayumi here. And as well, her hand is covering up her face, or at least part of her face, like a lot of her face. It's like the hair is covering up a lot, like a big portion of her face, and then her hands are her, or at least one of her hands is covering up another portion of her face. So it's like you're really covering up a lot. And this is a beauty shot. You know, it's about the face when it's a beauty shot. Like, this is a close-up shot of Ayumi Hamasaki's face, and she's covering almost half of her face. And you don't get to see much of Ayumi Hamasaki's neck. You see a little bit, but from that angle, it sort of looks like her neck is like really short. I don't think that was a good angle right there. I don't know. It wasn't a good picture right here. Like, it wasn't the best time to shoot the picture at that particular angle. Her nails look interesting. They're interesting. They're a bit distracting at this point, though. And I just think they're adding to the problem at this point. I could take them or leave them. Like, if everything was on point where you could see Ayumi Hamasaki's eye and her covered up portion of her face, and if you could see what you can't see, and she had the nails, then it would flow better. And as well, I don't really see the theme of 5 being represented, but like I said before, I won't hold that against Ayumi because that is a difficult theme to interpret. And as I said, deliver a good photo if you can't interpret the theme. Is this a good photo? It's an okay photo. I have issues with this photo. I think Ayumi has a beautiful visage, a beautiful face, a beautiful mug. And she's covering it up. Why is she covering it up? I don't know. I really don't know. What can I say? And also, just in case you don't know, Ayumi Hamasaki actually designed the typography for these album covers. She designed them herself. So kudos to Ayumi for taking a part in participating in the creative process more with this album cover. And also, the album cover, if you look at it really closely, it spells out hope. It's like a secret message hidden there within 5. If you look at it really closely, you can see like an H, and then like a heart-shaped O, then a P, and then an E. So yeah, that's Ayumi sending us a message through her art, So good job there, Ayumi. Good job there. Alright, so allow me to rank these photos. Let me rank these photos for you guys. Alright, the CD-only version of the album cover is the best photo, in my opinion. I think Ayumi, she looks really nice here, even though I have some issues with this photo. I think overall things fall together better in this photo than they do other photos. The second best photo is the CD plus DVD / CD plus Blu-ray version of the album cover. This I have some issues with because Ayumi Hamasaki's eye is covered, and a big portion or a large portion of her face is covered. And this is a beauty shot, so I don't understand where that came from. I think Ayumi may have just been trying to be really different and avant-garde, but she kind of missed the mark to an extent. And the third best photo, or the least best photo, is the CD-only limited edition version. And I rank this as last because where is Ayumi Hamasaki? Where's she at? And really, I don't really think it's a fair comparison at this point, because we're comparing like a photograph, or we're comparing photographs to anime drawings, or an anime drawing. So I don't really think it's a fair comparison. I don't think it's a bad photo or a bad drawing, but for me, I just want to see Ayumi Hamasaki represented on an Ayumi Hamasaki album. Is that too much to ask? Too much to ask for? And here, if I look at this person out of context, this anime character out of context, I wouldn't be able to tell that this was Ayumi Hamasaki. So because of that, I think that this is the least best photo. But, it is a nice photo, a nice drawing. But, for me, that's how I rank it. Just because, again, it's an Ayumi Hamasaki album cover. Where's she at? Where you at, Ayumi? Where you be? There's one more thing I want to mention in regards to Ayumi Hamasaki's album cover and Madonna's album cover. I feel that, yes, Ayumi did borrow from Madonna, particularly when it comes to the face. However, I do think that Ayumi kind of made it her own, because Ayumi Hamasaki's photo is kind of like an upper body shot, while Madonna's photo is more of a beauty shot. And I think part of the reason why I gravitate toward Ayumi's photo more than Madonna's photo for her album cover is because of how, the dynamics of Ayumi Hamasaki's album cover. The pose that she's doing, it's very dynamic. It brings some life and vitality into the photo, or more life and vitality into the photo. And so I guess where I'm getting at is that Ayumi did borrow from Madonna, but she made it her own as well. She incorporated her own ideas into the album cover. So it wasn't like just straight up biting, but it was like, okay, let me get some inspiration from Madonna, then make it my own. And I think that Ayumi Hamasaki did a really good job with this album cover. I could see this album cover in like some avant-garde magazine for fashion as well, as part of like an editorial or something, a photo editorial. So I'm like, hey, good job, Ayumi. You did your thing. Like, this is a really dynamic album cover. So, good job. Alright, so there you have it. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. Your feedback and support are extremely appreciated and extremely valued. Until the next photo analysis, adios and goodbye for now.